voice of the Leader Network in Zamboanga City.
Suena.
Good evening, I'm Pia Ontiveros. Welcome to Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. Tonight on the program, face-to-face classes are finally happening again more than a year and a half into the COVID-19 pandemic, but the government says this will happen only in select public and private schools. Good luck, a faction in the ruling political party PDP Laban, unfazed by Senator Manny Pacquiao's declaration of his presidential bid, saying his plans might even end in a tragedy. And The Crown always wins. Streaming giant Netflix and its series about the British royals dominate the 73rd annual Emmy ceremony. We'll tell you who else got several nods. But back here at home first, more than 100 public and private schools will finally resume face-to-face or in-person classes. President Duterte has approved its pilot testing, but only in places where there is a lower risk of COVID-19. Our Trisha Tarada has the details.
Some students will be back in school with their classmates and teachers as President Duterte gives the go signal for limited in-person classes in low-risk areas for COVID-19.
Kinakailangan na nating mag-pilot ng face-to-face dahil ito po hindi lang issue ng edukasyon, issue na rin po ito ng health, mental health ng ating mga kabataan, at issue na rin po ito ng ekonomiya. Kasi baka meron tayong henerasyon na mawala dahil wala po tayong face-to-face.
Based on approved guidelines, the location where in-person classes will be held must pass DepEd's safety assessment plus the local government's nod. DepEd says parents must also give their written consent allowing their kids to participate in the test run. Of course, there will be strict guidelines to ensure the implementation of minimum health standards.
Ang facilities ng Department of Education kailangang handa para sa requirements of the IATF and the Department of Health para magkaroon tayo ng social distancing, sapat na tubig, gamot, close location to health units.
The Education Department will start with a maximum of 100 public schools and 20 private schools for the pilot. The agency has yet to identify these schools, but DepEd Secretary Leonor Briones says the limited in-person classes will be piloted in select grade levels. The class size for kindergarten is limited to 12 students. Grade 1 to 3 classes can have up to 16 learners, while technical vocation classes can accommodate up to 20.
Para magkaroon tayo ng space for distancing.
Face-to-face classes won't be held every day. It will be conducted by schedule and will be strictly monitored down to the movement of students. The blended learning mode will stay. Classes for kindergarten to grade 3 must run for 3 hours at most. Technical vocation classes may take up to 4 hours only.
Kung safe ang pilot, if it is effective, then we will gradually increase. Pero ang natin dito, ang mahalaga, bantayan natin kung ano ang risk assessment. Pag may bagbabago sa risk assessment, then talagang titigilin natin.
DepEd does not require teachers to be vaccinated in respect to their individual rights, but it assured that a significant number of educators have already received their anti-COVID shots. Briones adds that teachers are ready for the pilot run and have been preparing for months to carry out in-person classes. No exact date yet when the pilot face-to-face classes will start. Trisha Tarada, CNN Philippines.
An update now on the nationwide tally of COVID-19 cases. The country lists nearly 19,000 new infections. Now, this brings the total caseload to around 2.36 million. Over 20,000 people recovered, while active cases, or the number of people currently sick with COVID, is at 176,850. An additional 146 patients died of COVID-19, pushing the death toll to 36,934. This is the first time in 7 days that reported deaths fell below 200. But today's figures do not yet include data
the others not as alarming. In February, more people got Alpha and Beta variants, driving the surge in March and April. Then Delta came in the picture. And true to its reputation as the more transmissible variant, it was only a matter of weeks before more and more people caught Delta. In September, almost 9 out of 10 tested for variants have Delta, making it the most commonly found variant in the country.
Sampling methodology also affects these proportions, as samples from target areas or populations are prioritized more.
Delta is found in all age groups, especially among 20 to 59 years old. The death rate among those with Delta, about 2.5%, higher than the death rate among total confirmed COVID cases. The elderly with Delta are more likely to die, 17 out of 100 people for 80 years old and above. Even children are not spared. Almost 2 out of 100 children aged 9 below died. This variant drove many hospitals beyond limits. August recorded an all-time high in deaths, an average of 155 people every day, more than the surge in April.
The national case fatality rate was lower this year than last year at 1.47% versus the 2.47% in 2020, despite cases and deaths increasing by more than twofold this year.
About 20,000 new infections are reported on a daily basis in the past 2 weeks. Both the Octa Research Group and the Health Department say COVID cases don't seem to be growing as much this past week, but they differ on whether or not it already peaked in Metro Manila.
We may have peaked. This is just in its early stages. We're just seeing the peak from last week, so it can still reverse. It can still change. If we may have already peaked, then cases are starting to go down. When we had an average of almost 6,000 cases, yun yung peak natin.
Pag-aralan pa maigi yung datos natin. Patuloy pa rin tumataas ang mga kaso natin sa National Capital Region, although bumagal ang pagtaas, pero tumataas pa rin siya. This delayed peak may be due to a slowdown in the case increases brought on by implemented community quarantine restrictions, improvement of PDITR, and vaccination.
The government projects COVID-19 cases peaking by end of the month or early October. For now, 12 regions remain at high risk, where hospitals are almost already or still full, and those getting sick are growing by the day. Caroline Bongkin, CNN Philippines.
More COVID-19 vaccines arrive in the country, bringing the total to over 64,500,000 more shots from Pfizer will also be delivered tonight. Based on the latest data, more than 41 million doses have been administered. That means 18 million Filipinos are fully vaccinated, while around 22 million got their first dose. The government aims to fully vaccinate over 20 million by the end of the month. This is still quite far from the government's target of vaccinating more than 70 million people, or 70% of the population. In the coming weeks, the country will receive 12 million doses from Sinovac, Pfizer, Moderna, Sputnik, and AstraZeneca. Now, President Duterte's former economic advisor, Michael Yang, denies he financed Pharmaly. That is the controversial firm at the center of congressional probes into alleged irregularities in the government's pandemic spending. Yang, through an interpreter, said he merely acted as a bridge.
Mr. Yang said that when Lincoln approached, he referred him to friends, diba, who would be able to assist them financially. So what Mr. Yang did was to give parang towards his friends, he was like he gave his assurance with respect to the credibility of the borrower or sila Lincoln.
Now, this contradicts the statement of Pharmaly officials who named Yang as their financier. Pharmaly needed a backer because its capital was just at 625,000 pesos when it began winning government contracts. The company bagged over 8 billion pesos worth of deals last year. Coming up, Senator Manny Pacquiao is ready to fight as a presidential candidate, but another faction of his party dismisses the move, and a group calls out 2 politicians, labeling them junior dictators. Details next here on Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
Consul of Belarus, my main responsibility was to see to it
the over-the-top racing of the Cruise and Blast arcade game goes portable on the Nintendo Switch.
It started out as an arcade game, and we had 5 tracks. People just kept saying, man, why isn't this game on the Switch? You know, we sold like 10,000 of these Cruise and Blast, you know, all over the world, the arcade games. And finally, we just got tired of people requesting it, and we said, you know, let's try a new business model. We'll actually do what people want. It's not about trying to master crazy, difficult control, it's about just having fun.
Playing unlocks new vehicles, including a Triceratops, whose cruising DNA goes back to, where else, Jurassic Park.
In the early days in the arcade Cruise and Blast, we had, I think it was Madagascar, and it was a really cool track. Somebody said, oh, yeah, it's kind of boring at this part here. You know, I'm tired of watching water buffalo. Somebody said, well, let's just put dinosaurs in there. It's like, you know, and we had done this Jurassic Park game, so we had lots of dinosaurs. So we put dinosaurs in Madagascar, and, you know, it's kind of cool. For the Switch version, we said, let's just, you know, let's double, triple down here.
Leveling up my dinosaur in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
Welcome back to Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. It is official. Senator Manny Pacquiao declares he will gun for the presidency in the 2022 elections. Pacquiao accepted the nomination to be the standard-bearer of the PDP Laban faction that he co-leads with Senator Coco Pimentel. The group says it is ready to fight back against the wing backed by President Duterte. Cian Arcangel has more.
It was the turn of the PDP Laban faction led by Senator Manny Pacquiao to hold a National Assembly nearly 2 weeks after the group chaired by Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi organized a similar event. Pacquiao's camp claims over 10,000 members nationwide attended the event, though most of them were only online. The attendees also insist they are the legitimate members of the ruling party and not the politicians present at Cusi's gathering. They nominated Pacquiao to run as the party's standard bearer in the 2022 elections, and he accepted.
Tinatanggap ko po ang inyong nominasyon sa akin bilang kandidato sa pagkapangulo ng Republika ng Pilipinas. Si Manny Pacquiao po ay handang gumabay at mamuno sa inyo sa panahon ng kahirapan, pagbangon at pag-asinso.
His faction has given Pacquiao a free hand to choose his running mate as well as candidates for the group's senatorial slate. Senator Aquilino Pimentel III, whose father and namesake established PDP Laban 3 decades ago, took a swipe at Cusi's group, saying Pacquiao's faction is ready to fight. The Cusi wing has asked the Commission on Elections to declare Pacquiao's group as illegitimate party members. It also named Senator Bongo and President Rodrigo Duterte as its official candidates for president and vice president. Go, however, has declined the nomination.
Hindi po natin papayagan ang pag-hijack ng ating partido. Tayong lahat, mga sa online, tayong lahat, isa lang ang partido natin ang PDP Laban. Yung kabila patalon-talon na partido.
The COMELEC says the issue on PDP Laban will be referred to the ONBank, but there's no word yet on when it will be decided. Cian Arcangel, CNN, Philippines.
The PDP Laban faction, led by Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi, is not surprised with Pacquiao's announcement. Cusi only has a short message for the senator. He says, "Good luck." The group says it did expect the announcement, adding in another interview that it will probably end, quote, in a tragedy for Pacquiao's faction. The Cusi-led wing adds there is little to no chance of reconciliation now. It looks to expel Pacquiao from the party as it waits for the Commission on Elections to decide on its petition to declare the lawmakers' wing as illegitimate. The Cusi-led faction nominated Senator Bongo as standard-bearer and President Duterte as his running mate, who has already accepted. In the meantime, COMELEC points out that there are no official candidates yet and that it only recognizes one PDP Laban for now. Spokesperson James Jimenez told CNN Philippines the COMELEC and Bank will decide on the dispute once both factions have submitted their authorized signatories.
Tatanggapin po yan dahil yung sinasabi nga natin, ang pagtanggap ng Certificate of Candidacies ay ministerial sa parte ng COMELEC. No? Ibig sabihin, walang choice ang COMELEC kundi tanggapin ang kanilang mga ipafile. Pero syempre, hiwalay na usapin pa yung sinasabi nating giving due course or yung talagang bibigyang visa yung final. So, tatanggapin natin yung ipafile nila. Pero tingnan natin kung ano mangyayari afterwards. Depende doon sa pagre-resolba ng kanilang intra-party dispute kung sakaling meron man.
The filing of certificates of candidacy takes place from October 1 to 8. 49 years ago, the Philippines entered a dark period as described by activists and those who experienced the horrors of martial law. Today, on the eve of the anniversary of its declaration, groups launch activities to counter misinformation about the Marcos regime. They say this is also their way of standing against two possible presidential runs. Our George Cahilas has that story.
Junior dictators. That's how this group describes Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte and former Senator Bongbong Marcos as they call on the public to reject their possible presidential bids next year. The group claims the presidential daughter and Marcos benefited from and actively defended their father's authoritarian leadership. Duterte is the daughter of President Rodrigo Duterte and Marcos is a son of dictator Ferdinand Marcos. The mayor refused to comment. Marcos has yet to respond to our query.
Hindi natin papayagang maulit-muli ang pangungalimbat ng mga Marcos at hindi natin papayagang maulit-muli itong formally na ninanakaw hindi lamang kaban ng bayan kundi ang ating buhay sa gitna ng pandemya. Kaya mga kasama sa araw na ito, paalala, reject junior dictators!
A bigger protest is expected tomorrow to commemorate the 49th anniversary of martial law declaration. Human rights violation victims and their families are expected to participate.
Amazing, wonderful.
Meanwhile, the University of the Philippines launches a webinar series, Fact-Checking Misinformation and Disinformation, about martial law in the Marcos family. Academicians say information about the former president's extraordinary childhood and World War II heroism is a myth and quoted from what they say are manipulated biographies. And these must be corrected through education.
Ngunit kapag hindi naiwasto ang direksyon ng edukasyon ng kabataan, ay lalong hindi mapipigilan ang panunumbalik ng mga Marcos at ng mga katulad nila. Hindi mababago ang tuloy-tuloy na paghaharing nakasasakal ng mga pampolitikang dinastiya sa ating bansa.
Academicians say, while the Marcoses want to project the true, the good, and the beautiful under their 21-year rule, studies and research has instead uncovered the false, not good, and ugly facts at the time. George Cahiles, CNN Philippines.
Still ahead, K-pop fans can look forward to a popular boy band using its voice to talk about sustainable development. And programs on the TV screen go head-to-head at this year's Emmy Awards, with 2 dramas taking the lead for number of wins. Keep it here on Newsnight.
When the world was changing for photographic film, we helped change the world as a pioneer of the digital age. In healthcare, we're revolutionizing diagnostics by applying our AI technology. But why stop there when we can focus our AI and IoT?
Just days after unveiling its coronavirus containment plan for later on in the year, the government, as promised, also updated travellers on the restrictions that they face to enter the UK. Those are going to be simplified as of October the 4th, and there's good news for 8 countries that are coming off the so-called red list here in the UK. This is a list of nations that are deemed risky in terms of the prevalence of COVID-19, and as such, people who enter these shores from those nations have to go into an immediate mandatory quarantine period in a hotel. But that will no longer be the case if you're returning to the UK from Turkey, Pakistan, the Maldives, Egypt, Sri Lanka, Oman, Bangladesh, and also Kenya. And there's good news for travellers who are fully vaccinated against COVID-19. If they've had both of their shots, they will no longer have to take a test before departing upon their journey. They will still have to test upon their return, but the government's also trying to make that simpler and also more cost-effective too, with plans to remove the current requirement for a polymerase chain reaction or PCR test on day 2, a more sophisticated and expensive but also more accurate type of COVID-19 test. They're going to be replacing that with a much cheaper lateral flow test instead. Now, this has been greeted by the airline and the hospitality sector with glee. They have been pummeled over the course of the pandemic by these restrictions that have been imposed upon travellers to the UK. They said it was the shot in the arm that the industry needed, and it could make a real impact straight away, because these rules are going to be changing just before a crucial travel period, which is the half-term holiday for school children across England. And it also reflects the fact that there is a larger amount of immunity against COVID-19 in this country, with 8 in 10 adults here having been vaccinated in some form against the virus, and with plans to roll out the vaccination programme to the next target group, which is 12 to 15-year-olds, who as of this week the government recommended would be eligible to get 1 shot of a Pfizer vaccination. Nina Dos Santos, CNN in London.
You're watching Newsnight. I'm Pia Ontiveros. Another Filipino athlete making the country proud, Q artist Carlo Biado claims this year's U.S. Open pool title after a come-from-behind win over Singapore's Aloysius Yap in the finals. Biado had to fight back after being down 3-8, taking the last 10 racks of the contest for the victory. Biado is the first Filipino U.S. Open pool champion since billiards legend Efren Bata Reyes in 1994. Now, in entertainment, K-pop group BTS will once again address the United Nations, this time as Korea's special envoy for future generations and culture. They are accompanying South Korean President Moon Jae-in to New York for the second meeting of the Sustainable Development Goals moment, starting tonight at 8 Manila time. Aside from giving remarks, the 7-member group will also perform for the 30 member states and stakeholders attending the event. This will stream on the UN's YouTube channel and other social media platforms. The 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly will be their third visit to the global organization in 4 years. Now, Marvel's first Asian superhero may not make it to the big screen in China. CNN's David Daniel has that and more in the Hollywood Minute.
I thought I could change my name. Start a new life.
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is doing big box office in the U.S., but China's film board has not approved it for theaters there, though future releases have received Chinese release dates. Chinese nationalists reportedly have criticized star Simu Liu, who was born in China but grew up in Canada.
The Emperor asks us to bring peace to Arrakis. House Atreides accepts.
One of those future releases is already doing well. Dune debuted in 24 international markets, including Russia, France, Germany, and Italy, and made $36.8 million in its first weekend. The film expands worldwide, including the U.S. and China, on October 22nd.
You know who you are, don't you? You're Buddy from Belfast, where everybody knows you.
An Oscar boost for Belfast. Kenneth Branagh's black and white drama, based on his childhood in Northern Ireland, won the People's Choice Award at this year's Toronto Film Festival. 12 of the last 13 winners went on to receive Academy Award nominations for Best Picture, and 5 of those films won the top Oscar. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
And in TV's award season, Netflix drama swept this year's Emmys. The Crown, which chronicles the lives of British royalty, took home 5 trophies under the drama category. The Queen's Gambit tied with it at 11 wins. Popular for its storytelling of a female chess prodigy's journey, the show reached 62 million viewers in the first 28 days of release.
The one thing that no algorithm can predict and no billion-dollar budget can manufacture is word of mouth. This award is for the fans who told their friends and who became fans who told their friends, dude, you gotta watch the Orphan Girl chess drama.
The Queen's Gambit was notably awarded for Outstanding Limited Series, and like The Crown, it grabbed prizes for its cinematography and directing. With a total of 44 statues to the streaming company, Netflix now has the highest number of Emmys than any other network or platform in 2021. To view the full list of awardees, you can visit our website and social media pages at CNN Philippines. Well, we still have 96 days before Christmas Day, and that is it for now. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again at 7 on News.ph. I'm Pia Ontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
This program is brought to you by
D-Triple-X Zamboanga. For every wanted, we've got it covered in the Philippines' largest network. This is Radio Philippines Network. The power, the first, the leader. Pass it on.
El de con todo suena claro y vapor sa estasyon de radio na entero Weste Mindanao. RPN D-Triple-X Radio Ronda Zamboanga.
Covering Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao via satellite. This is RPN. Spanning the whole archipelago with TV5 Zamboanga in the City of Flowers and radio stations DXXX Zamboanga. This is RPN.
RPN, the leader network. D-Triple-X, 1008 kilohertz, the voice of the leader network in Zamboanga City.
Solid for news and information, public service and entertainment. This is D-Triple-X, 1008 kilohertz in Zamboanga.
Alis na ako.
Ang face massage shield, dala mo?
Oo.
Ang alcohol.
Kailangan pa ba yun?
Pag nagkasakit ka, apektado lahat. Ikaw, ako, anak mo. Disiplina lang ngayong pandemya.
Marami pa rin nagkakasakit. Disiplina ay isa-isip. Sundin ang minimum health standards. Maghugas ng kamay at magsuot po tayo ng face mask at shield.
Papa, yung alcohol mo.
Ako po si Paulo Bediones. Para sa pamilya, pairalin ang disiplina. This message is brought to you by the Department of Interior and Local Government.
O anak, matulog ka na ng maaga. May pasok ka pa bukas.
Apo, Ina. Good night. I love you po.
Mahal na mahal din kita, anak.
Ina?
Oh, bakit? Ano iyon, anak?
Yung classmate ko kasi kanina ay na-award sa kanya ang Peace Medal of the Day dahil binigyan niya ng snack ang isa kong classmate. Ganun lang pala kasimple yon, Ina.
Alam mo, anak, ang kapayapaan ay may napakaraming itsura. Maaari itong mag-share ng snack kagaya ng ginawa ng classmate mo. Yakapin ang malungkot mong kaibigan. Iwasang manghusga sa kapwa. Di kaya'y sa simpleng pagbabahagi ng tamang impormasyon para sa masusing pagdesisyon.
Hindi pala kailangan baguhin mo ang mundo o makipagdigmaan?
Hindi naman, anak. Ang kailangan lang ay dalisay at tapat na pakikitungo sa kapwa. Baka iyan ang dahilan kung bakit binigyan ng award ang classmate mo.
Sige, Ina. Pagsisikapin ko yung gawin araw-araw.
Mabuti naman, anak. O siya, matulog ka na ng mahimbing.
Hindi komplikado ang kapayapaan.
Peace is possible. Let's make it happen.
Isang paalala mula sa Equal Access International Philippines at ng Our Mindanao.
Got your 2-dose vaccination? Present your vaccination card and enjoy more and more perks for you. Free KCC bonus card membership or free KCC bonus card renewal. Get 100 peso shopping reward for your next shopping using your KCC bonus card to enjoy more choices at KCC department store. And wait, there's more from our KCC participating stores. Nakapabakuna na, panalo ka pa. Visit promo booth at basement level and KCC participating stores for more details. Vaccine win in KCC, kaya magpabakuna na.
Valued shoppers! Expired na ba ang KCC bonus card mo? Check your KCC bonus card and renew now! And get KCC freebies para tuloy-tuloy lang pag-earn ng more points. Enjoy freebies and big savings dito lang sa KCC. Kaya mag-renew na ng inyong KCC bonus card. For details, visit KCC Loyalty Booth located at Basement 1, fronting KCC Supermarket, Wines and Cigars. KCC bonus card, renew now!
Salamat, hindi makilimutan ating pinagdaanan, ating pinagsamahan sa hirap at ginhawa, sa lungkot at saya. Salamat, salamat, salamat sa RPN. Noong simula pa lamang, kayo ang naging magulang.
Sa aking bawat hakbang, turo nyo'y tamang daan.
Sa aking mga pagsubok, kayo'y laging tumutok.
Kayo na ang laging
Sihab, San Miguel.
hanggang sa magtagumpay.
Salamat, salamat, hindi malilimutan. Gintong alaala ng ating pagsasama. Sa hirap at ginhawa, sa lungkot at saya. Salamat, salamat, salamat sa RPN. Nang ako'y makilala, sikat sa buong madla.
Sanggipang karangalan, sa lahat bahagi ka.
Ngayon ka nakita, inubog ng lumipas.
At bawat ngayon at bukas, nakabukit hanggang wakas.
Salamat, salamat, salamat sa pagkakataon na makapiling, makabalikan, maging bahagi ng mundo. Salamat, salamat, taus-pusong pasasalamat. Salamat, salamat, salamat sa RPN. Salamat, salamat, hindi malilimutan ating pinagdaanan, ating pinagsamahan. Sa hirap at ginhawa, sa lungkot at saya. Salamat, salamat, salamat sa RPN.
Estación adhesivo, comprensivo, noticia y completo. Si te busca tu entretenimiento, abrí el radio, pone H08. Verdadero servicio completo, noticia y información. Triple X Radio Ronda, H08, más fuerza, está llegando a Magaracho.
Suena claro y vapor sa estasyon de radio na entero Weste Mindanao. RPN D-Triple-X Radio Ronda Zamboanga.
Verdadero servicio completo, noticia y información. Triple X Radio Ronda.
Zamboanga. Wherever you want it, we've got it covered in the Philippines' largest network. This is Radio Philippines Network. The power, the first, the leader. Pass it on, pass it on.
Arangkada balita, mga labas nga balita gikan sa dakbayan sa Zamboanga, Basilan, Sulu, Tawi-Tawi, Zamboanga Peninsula. Lakip na mga probinsya nga maabot sa kakusog sa signal ning D-Triple-X 1008 sa dial sa inyong mga radyo. Arangkada balita, mapaminawan ninyo gikan adlaw nga Lunes hangtod Biyernes.
El de con todo suena claro y vapor sa estasyon de radio na entero Weste Mindanao. RPN D-Triple-X Radio Ronda Zamboanga. El de con todo suena claro y vapor sa estasyon de radio na entero Weste Mindanao. RPN D-Triple-X Radio Ronda Zamboanga.
D-Triple-X Radio on the go.
Mga biktima del storm surge, no?
So, hindi kaya andakan na sila position enante.
Depensa taman di Ma'am Sheila Michang para na DTP over sa
Para ito prinsipyo kita Black El Card.
Na noticia, información, servicio público y entretenimiento. Número 1, el RPN D-Triple-X Radio Ronda Zamboanga.
Covering Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao via satellite. This is RPN. Spanning the whole archipelago with TV5 Zamboanga in the City of Flowers and radio stations DXXX Zamboanga. This is RPN. Look up for the leader, D-Triple-X Zamboanga. Now. Solid for news and information, public service and entertainment. This is D-Triple-X, 1008 kilohertz in Zamboanga.
RPN, the leader network. D-Triple-X, 1008 kilohertz, the voice of the leader network in Zamboanga City.
Suena, balance, fuerza. El RPN D-Triple-X Radio Ronda Zamboanga.
This is Radio Philippines Network, D-Triple-X Zamboanga, D-Triple-X Zamboanga. The Great 108, get on. This is Radio Philippines Network, D-Triple-X Zamboanga, D-Triple-X Zamboanga. Pass it on, pass it on, pass it on, pass it on. This is Radio Philippines Network, the power, the first, the leader.
Estación adhesivo, comprehensivo, noticia y completo. Si te busca tu entretenimiento, amplía el rayo, pone
sa lungkot at saya. Salamat, salamat, salamat sa RPN. Noong simula pa lamang, kayo ang naging magulang.
Sa aking bawat hakbang, turo nyo'y tamang daan.
Sa aking mga pagsubok, kayo'y laging tumutok.
Kayo na ang laging kapay, hanggang sa magtagumpay.
Salamat, salamat, hindi malilimutan. Gintong alaala ng ating pagsasama. Sa hirap at ginhawa, sa lungkot at saya. Salamat, salamat, salamat sa RPN. Nang ako'y makilala, sikat sa buong madla.
Sanggipang karangalan, sa lahat bahagi ka.
Ngayon ka nakita, hinubog ng lumipas.
At bawat ngayon at bukas, nakabukit hanggang wakas.
Salamat, salamat, salamat sa pagkakataon na makapiling, makabalikan, maging bahagi ng mundo. Salamat, salamat, taus-pusong pasasalamat. Salamat, salamat, salamat sa RPN. Salamat, salamat, hindi malilimutan. Ating pinagdaanan, ating pinagsamahan. Sa hirap at ginhawa, sa lungkot at saya. Salamat, salamat, salamat sa RPN.